University of New Mexico and taught and was an assistant football coach. Coached high school for a year, went back to West Liberty, went to West Virginia University and got my doctorate, and then I was at Jacksonville State for a year, at Valdosta State for 11 and a half years.
With the Blazers.
Spent 3.5 years as a commissioner of a Division I conference in Texas and Louisiana. And then after that conference folded, this job came open here in Georgia, and I'd been in Georgia, and I enjoyed it, so I came back and took this
How
job.
did you find out about this job, or did they reach out to you?
An assistant basketball coach that had played at Valdosta State, Brett Campbell. I nicknamed him Soups. He was a great basketball player out of Indiana, and he called me and he said, "We've got an AD job open, and I heard that you're available." And I did apply and did get the job.
That's awesome. And who was the president? Was it Betty?
Dr.
Betty
Siegel, right.
Yeah. So I think she was president when I was here at junior college in the mid-'70s. Or
No.
Who was the president
Dr.
then?
Horace Sturgis.
There you go, Sturgis. Yeah, that's right. Long time ago.
See, normally Chuck gets away with that kind of stuff when he says, I think they were around here 50 years ago when I was here, and people are like, I guess, I don't know, I'm not going to. These two are like, wrong answer. Definitely not here at that point.
So they're a lot like you.
No, I say wrong answer. They actually knew it was a wrong answer. I just guess when I'm saying it.
That's great. So, Scott, tell us your journey and how you got to KSU.
Well, I got here it was a little bit quicker than Dave. I was on the baseball team at Piedmont College, and they were in the same NAIA district as a brand new upstart program. Kennesaw College was starting athletics, and I had a happenstance to meet Kennesaw's first athletic director, Speck Landry, legend. He coached football both at Georgia and at Georgia Tech, and Dr. Betty Siegel persuaded him to come out of semi-retirement, actually, to be the first AD and get athletics started. And I met him, and then through a second happenstance, he asked me what I was doing, and I told him, and he asked me what I ever think about, going into coaching and this, that, and the other, and one thing led to another, and I was hired at Kennesaw State. Believe it or not, my first full-time job at Kennesaw State was assistant women's basketball coach.
Oh, wow.
And then, quote unquote, back in those days, my other job was softball coach. Because back then we all coached two sports, or we coached one sport and had another administrative responsibility.
Right.
Was Dave Harris still around then?
Dave Harris was around. He was teaching in health and physical education. And Dave Harris actually also coached the Kennesaw College club men's basketball team, which evolved into the first varsity team.
Yeah.
So,
Dave was my tennis teacher and golf teacher at KSU, and bowling too.
Yeah, and that was back so I came to Kennesaw in 1985, and I think Dave got here in 87. Is that right? Yeah, you.
Yeah, 87.
87, and so we were together for 23 years.
Wow.
And so I have the distinction of being the only coach to have worked for every AD in the history of Kennesaw State.
That's pretty wild.
And and so I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's the fact.
Well,
It's longevity, that's for sure.
It is longevity when you can have three different people who are your boss and all of them are appreciative and like you enough to where you're still there. That's a good sign.
I don't know if they like me or not.
Well.
But that's, I was there and I tried to earn my keep, but
I've been reading some of your records earlier. I think you did a good job of keeping your record.
I had great support. We did things right. I mean, one of the first things I would say out of the chute on Friday when we go out there to play in the first bowl game in the history of the university, that's no accident. That's been about 40 years in the making because of steps that were taken many, many years ago to lay a really good foundation.
Right, and go. You guys went right there, and let me just ask you, when you came here in 1985, and when you made it here in 1987, and you didn't have a basketball team that was a D1, or you didn't have this, and you had an intramural this or that, could you imagine that one day we're going to have a football team that's going to be in bowl games? And I mean,
well, from the day Dr. Waples got on campus, we wanted football. This is a football encyclopedia sitting beside me. But he also knew that to have football, you had to have a lot of things in place, and you had to have money. Even back then,
Sure.
money was, a huge concern. And if you remember back during that time, the enrollment was like 5,000, 7,000.
Sure.
And so that had a direct effect on our budget. And once the enrollment explosion started occurring in the early 90s, we were able to do a little bit more. But Dave would make Ebenezer Scrooge look like a free spender, okay? He's the tightest man I know. He's got every dime he ever made. But
He somehow convinced Larry to buy him dinner tonight, so clearly he's still good at it.
He managed the department that way. But every team that got on a bus to go play somewhere seemingly had what they needed to be
Successful.
to be competitive and successful. Not what they always wanted, but what they needed.
But we always want more than we need, and we're not even sure what exactly we do
Well,
need.
That's probably true, but it was a methodical build, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I mean, and like I always tell the story about the late Betty Siegel, the president of Kennesaw State. She knew nothing about college athletics, except she had something intuitively in her to know that if Kennesaw College then was going to be a destination college, it needed athletics. And she taught, like I said, Coach Landrum out of semi-retirement to come and start the athletic program. And Dave made it grow and set the table. And we've seen time passes and generations go on. We've into what's going to happen on Friday.
Absolutely.
So Dave, when you came here from Valdosta, right?
No, I came here from a league in Louisiana called the Gulf Star Conference.
Oh, okay.
I was a commissioner of that league. It folded, and when it folded, then I was looking for some jobs, and this job came open.
Oh, so the minute you were on campus, was football already in your mind?
I helped start. I will tell that I was the prime mover of getting football at Valdosta State. The president was totally against it. He didn't want it because he knew it was going to be a lot of work. But and I'll just tell you a quick story. Anyway, I talked to the president. I talked to Dr. Bailey, and I talked to everybody. And because Valdosta High School and Lowndes, my goodness,
They have
you
documentaries
talk
about that.
Any two schools in the same county. But anyway, I get a call in the morning, and Coach Grant said, "Hey, boy, you always call me boy." President had a meeting at 7:30 over at his office. I think we're going to start football. So I go there with Grant and myself and the business guy. And all at once, Dr. Bailey comes in, takes his fist, and he pounds on the table, and he said, "I said football. We're going to start football." So he said,
My other alma mater.
he said, Dave, how much is this? And I told him, and he said, Sam, how are we going to pay for it? Well, we'll raise the student fees. That's the normal answer. And he said, Coach Grant, he's going to get Bazemore to be the coach. He's retired. He won 13 championships.
At Valdosta.
I mean, the guy was a legend. And Billy said, I don't know. Anyway, long story short, he tapped two of Coach Bazemore. I want my two assistants. Well, neither one ended up getting. I started football, and he had the stadium right across the street from the university.
So Valdosta wouldn't have had football if it wasn't on the trigger, because that president up there and like, they're not enough or not.
You're saying Irk the president?
I did throw that in.
Nurk, but he and the Georgia Southern president, I guess there was a real problem between them.
Yeah.
But eventually, of course, I think Valdosta State would have gotten football. But it was one thing that I learned, and I knew this even before, is we couldn't start a football program. The one thing I told him when I told him about football, and they said, well, what's going to happen? They said, I understand that I-75's only been here for whatever, how many weeks or months. And I said, when I was at Valdosta State, it was known that Cobb County was the best county in the state of Georgia, without a doubt. And I said, I saw all those good-looking women coming down from Cobb County to go to school here, so I knew there was something going. And I said, this place is going to explode because the I-75 corridor, we're right here. And it took a while, as Scott said. We had 7,000 students. We had no dorms. We had no food service. We had no money. Everybody was paying $7 a quarter. So everybody was paying a $21 fee per year. And
It's gonna take a long time to build that stadium.
and Coach Landrum had started 14 sports. And I understand why you do that. You really want, but you can't fund 14.
You can't start with one.
You just can't fund. And so when the spring before I got here, and of course Scott was here, they dropped all but 4 sports. The 2 basketball teams, baseball, and they had slow pitch softball. That's how Scott started, with slow pitch softball. And then he and I got together, and I told him, Scott, we're going to have to go to fast pitch. He had this record of about 2,000 wins and 2 losses or something like that. And he said, why would we want to do this?
I like what we're doing.
Winning everything, and he'll back this up. I say, well, what we can do, we're going to start fast pitch, and we can find another coach. And Scott said, you know what I think? We need to start fast pitch.
I think we should push in that direction.
The future. We had to get out ahead of it.
That's
But,
right.
Absolutely.
and then
We're in it from
this
the second
guy,
sentence of our conversation.
we started talking. Again, I knew a little bit about fast pitch because we had it in the league I was in. And Scott knew, I would say, about next to nothing about it.
And what year would this have been?
This was in
1989,
is it 89?
when we decided we were going to do it.
Okay.
And it just so happened, I did tell him, I didn't know that much about it. But I said, Scott, you're going to have to get yourself a pitcher and a catcher. If you don't have that, you just can't win. He had an assistant. He had hired an assistant named Don McKinley. And Don said, well, I've got a friend up in Canada that's a pretty good pitcher.
Diane Mueller was her name. And,
Olympian.
no, she didn't
Wasn't
play
she
on
wasn't the
Olympic
Olympic.
team.
Oh,
The catcher.
catcher was the.
She came down and was maybe the best competitor ever coached. And what I want to tell about that means a lot is that when we play our first game of fast pitch, 6 of our starters played in the first fast pitch game they were soft. They were slow pitch players that we converted.
But they were athletes.
But they were- I mean, but they-
that's
these were
why
good players.
that's why he had a 2002
I mean, they
record.
were, playing slow pitch softball, they were like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Right.
I mean, it was just, how bad did we want to be?
Like kings of the court.
Yeah, just, and I did get lucky with a great hire. I learned very quickly from going and watching fast pitch over the year and a half I had leading up to our first game, that the way I've always phrased it is that fast pitch softball is baseball played inside a pinball machine.
That's pretty much it.
The angles are tighter.
It's much tighter.
And it goes faster, and so, but the principles of hit, catch, run, throw are the same. But the skill position, as Dr. Weber was alluding to, pitching and catching, and corner players.
I was gonna say, everybody always worries about the hot corner in baseball. Man, in softball, you're really freaking close.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have people that can play those positions.
Sure.
If you want to be a good team.
And we did have a lot of insurance, didn't we, for him? That's fun. Let me interrupt. The first year,
Well, let me interrupt first. We need to get a couple of commercials in. And then we'll get back to your
I
story.
knew this would happen.
All right, real quick. Enjoy New Realm's award-winning craft beer, whether visiting the brewery on the Beltline or purchasing its leading beers, such as Hazy Like a Fox or Tiki Like a Fox at your local retail store. Available in Kroger, Publix, and most places you shop, even here at Miller's Ale House. As the official craft beer partner of Kennesaw State University, try Owl Inn Lager, a great tasting beer that pays homage to New Realm's KSU partnership. Go Owls!
Joshua Smith and his wife Tammy are both graduates at Kennesaw State College. He's been practicing law for 24 years, specializing in sports and entertainment law while continuing in criminal defense, civil litigation, juvenile, and personal injury. And he's ready to represent you all the way from your small town to the Supreme Court and any appellate court in between. With all the new rules regarding NIL and cash payments to athletes, they're placing a new emphasis on Kennesaw State University student athletics to help our student athletes better navigate some of the bigger issues that have tripped up so many. Give them a call tomorrow at 706-217-2095.
What number is that?
Joshua Smith's number, the big one on the screen, 706-217-2095. But you should call him later because he's in Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely. And thank you, Joshua and Chris McCoy, and sponsors of the Al Show here with Dr. Scott Whitlock. Continue your story.
Well, I'm getting longer. It reminds me of a story of a friend of mine who's sitting at home on Saturdays. I said, Fred, why aren't you playing golf? He said, I got nobody to play with. My eyesight isn't as good as his. She said, listen to the street. His wife said, he's got great eyesight. So he goes down and he gets Harry. They go on the first tee, and Fred tees off. He said, Harry, did you see it? He said, yeah. So they're driving down, and he said, Harry, where is it? And Harry said, I forgot. Anyway,
He saw it and he just forgot.
Anyway, Scott, the first year we got fourth in the nation. The second year we got second. And then the next 2 years we got fourth, and then we joined the NCAA. And that joining the NCAA is a whole new story. But that's how successful we were. And then like he goes ahead and wins the national championship the first 2 years is in the NCAA. Just to show, this is another true story. In 1994, the baseball went to Des Moines, as they say out there. And the baseball coach won the national championship. I said, I'm going to win one of those. So, yeah, sure. But, I never got to see any of those championships. But because Scott, what time's the bus leaving? We're leaving 4 o'clock. I said, okay. Well, the bus left at 11.
He was the world's worst. No, I banned him. I banned the athletic director from attending.
Because you could lose when he wasn't around?
The world's worst second guesser, backseat driver, which he should have done.
Well,
The 1992 NAIA Championship World Series. We're playing St. Mary's of Texas. They've got a Player of the Year on the
best hitter in the NAIA.
And there was a situation, I can't remember the total situation.
There was-
Here he comes down
There was one out.
to the backstop. I'm telling the story. And I don't work for you anymore. Yeah. And,
Secondhand lines, folks. Secondhand lines.
And he just comes down to the dugout. Walk. You got to walk. Have to walk. And I choose not to walk. She hits a double.
And scores a run. We're down 1-0.
And he comes down. I told you. I said, this is the last time you're going for. And we came back and won that game. And to this day, how many years later, you're still mad because I didn't walk?
Well,
No, you're mad about it.
yes, I am. I was disappointed with you.
No, you were mad.
Well, okay. I was very upset with you.
He was so disappointed he became mad.
He was mad.
So let me ask you guys this, just once again, knowing that you guys are the, we hear about different startup companies. You guys kind of were the startup company for this university. And, we talk about it all the time on this show, what are you? I'm a Bulldog fan. I'm a Jacket fan. I'm a this fan. I'm a that fan. But we like KSU. And now you're starting, there's some kids eating dinner on the other side of that wall, the Kings. The Kings and the Brackets, these kids only like KSU. This is their number one team. What was it like the first time you went into a Walgreens or any of these other stores and you saw all these shirts for sale? Because that's kind of a new thing, and it blows me away every time.
That didn't happen.
Correct.
When we started, there was no such thing as that.
No, absolutely, but you guys are the reason why it did show up.
Well, it evolved, and we operated. If we would have had the student fees that other schools had, in other words, let's say we had 15,000 students, and our student fees are let's say $10 total. Well, you got a school down the road, it's got 4,000 students, and their fees are $50. So they actually have a lot more money than we do.
Correct.
But I didn't feel the students need to be taxed like that.
Good for you.
Well, one of the things when we have all the athletes sit in those two chairs all the time, one of the things that everybody loves about this school is because you didn't have all of those things in 1984 before you guys got here. Hey, what's your room like? Oh man, I love my room. I got my own bathroom. My daughter went to UGA. She's in a room with the shower rooms this big, and everybody just kind of walks in, walks out. All these kids are they've got their own stuff now.
So how has recruiting changed from 1984, 86 until now?
Well, you can pay them now.
Exactly, I know that, but it's got to be a lot different.
Well, it's totally out of control. It even surpasses professional athletics in the fact that if somebody said to me, I'm going to give you a job as coach of whatever sport in the pros or at one of the biggest colleges in the United States, I'd take the pro job. I don't have to recruit. I've got people working on how much the guy's going to be paid. But I don't. I'm going to throw this in. I'm a big Ohio State fan.
I knew that from the first time.
And Brian Hartline, their play caller, former great player for him, recruited all those great receivers. He got the South Florida job a week before the Indiana game. Some of the worst play calling I've ever seen. He cost Sayan the Heisman Trophy. His mind is in South Florida where he got the job rather than Ohio State, and I am just irate about it as an Ohio State fan.
Well, and we talk about this on the show on a regular basis, with the portal, signing day. You got to have a coach for signing day. So that's why Lane Kiffin has to leave ahead of time instead of saying, hey, I'll answer all your questions as soon as my season's over. So do you think at some point in time the NCAA, and this is kind of a joke when I say this, but do you think they'll ever actually figure something out and move all the dates to where it makes sense?
Well, they have to do something.
Agreed.
To adapt to this. However, I think if this is just my opinion, I think that we are probably less than 5 years away from the top 40 or 50 athletic programs in the country saying, hey, we're going to go play, and these are going to be our ones.
This isn't the NCAA anymore. This is
my hope would be that you could conceivably get 32 teams or 48 teams or 64 teams and do what they do in the English Premier League soccer. Are you familiar with that?
As far as relegation? I think relegation is one of the greatest things in the world. If you want to fix the Pirates and the Royals, that's a great way.
The point being, we don't have enough big stadiums in the United States to handle that.
Very true.
But we do in college football.
Very true.
There's 64 sustainable stadiums out there, or whatever, how many teams you would have, and have relegation. I mean, you talk about it, the excitement of that. There's more excitement about the bottom 5 teams in the Premier League at the end of the season than there are at the 5 at the
because
top.
they know it's it's like what's her name at midnight? The pumpkin goes away.
Cinderella.
Cinderella. It's a horrible thing, but it does motivate people.
Oh boy.
On the other side of the pond.
What I hope, and I don't have any reason to know one way or the other, is I hope that all sports other than football can somehow stay affiliated because the basketball tournament
is great.
And also, to be quite honest with you, about the basketball tournament, the NCAA probably doesn't have the money to function.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Because they own the NCAA basketball tournament. They do not own the bowls.
But even say one of my favorite things that happened last year. When I say one of my favorite, it's definitely not one of my favorites. Michigan, they won their round of 32 game and they went to the Sweet 16. And Scottie Pippen's son was sitting on the bench. There was 2 guys hurt on that roster going into the Sweet 16, and they opened the portal in between the round of 32 and Sweet 16, and he enters the portal. It's like, this is your one chance to actually possibly play meaningful Sweet 16 basketball. So going back to that, isn't the NCAA's job to the portal to after the last game, and so you can't leave mid-tournament?
I think there's a lot more like football control in the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
And right now there's a battle. The Big Ten fan, but the Big Ten commissioner is insisting on that they get X number of teams automatically. Well, the SEC is stronger from top to bottom. This year, the Big Ten is much better at the
Can
top.
you say that one more time? I didn't hear you the first time.
I heard it.
But NCAA isn't going to think that the Big Ten, SEC, and by the time commissioners want done.
Right.
And, it's an absolute mess now. You got too many people working for the that never coached and never played. And I remember when I would go to those NCAA meetings, somebody would come up with a great proposal. It was great. Most of the people voted for it. By the time it got out of the NCAA, the intent of it had totally changed, and it was ridiculous.
Well, and something based on your conversation, especially the ones that you had at Valdosta, some of the people who are in these rooms deciding these things for the NCAA don't understand sports.
Exactly.
And so make a decision like you don't even
Now,
understand.
I'll give you an example. There's softball. There's a softball and deadlock rule.
That's what you got 2002 before you.
Well, they were playing school named Uipui, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. It's the University of Indiana.
Yeah.
And we were in that, and it was the last inning, I think, right, Scott? And we had a girl first, I believe it was, and he ran our second pitcher. That's a pinch runner. He ran hers as a pinch runner. Well, we hit a ball into that, and here she comes. She scores. The game's over. Everybody's celebrating. Both teams essentially. Now Scott and some of his players were still. The other team, all the umpires left. They left the field, and now once they come back, and they went back out, and they called the Uipui out. He threw the ball. She missed third. I mean, there was no doubt. I saw it. They throw to third and said she's out, so we had to play another. Well, Scott takes his briefcase, throws it up against the screen. I'm screaming at the umpire, not using a lot of profanity, but some.
Just a little bit.
And when after that game, they amended the national softball rule to say that if the umpire, was it the umpires?
Umpire.
If the umpires left the field, the game was over. There was no coming back, no matter what.
Yeah, and it seems really weird because how would they know that unless there was a video that they saw inside?
Well, they just took the word of somebody.
Correct.
It
Georgia,
seemed odd to me at the time too.
I think
Probably have a hard time admitting to it today.
you said you got a degree at Georgia Southern.
Marketing, yeah.
We played them when I was at West Liberty, when I was coaching down there, and we had it was an extra innings, and we had a kid on. I think the kids were on second and third. Got a single, 2-run score, and they throw the ball back to the pitcher, and I hear this: some lady in the stands, Robbie, he missed third. He missed third. Robbie's the umpire. Robbie, been there for like 200 years. Robbie, he missed third. So the pitcher throws to third. Robbie calls it. I mean, it's a damn. You go around and I know Scott's a lot of this too. Some of this stuff is
It is. So the minute you guys got on in the football program, can you believe where we've come in this amount of time? And my next part of the question is, what's the opportunity of KSU becoming a Power 4 school?
Well,
Money.
first of all, this is one of the greatest recruiting areas in the country. Now, when I grew up, the best recruiting areas in the country were Eastern Ohio, Northern West Virginia, and Western Pennsylvania. Allegheny County in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, got more great players.
Montana, Namath, and Reno.
But Georgia, I think, third in the country behind Texas and Florida, recruiting-wise. So we've got players. Again, because somebody's a 4-star, 5-star, doesn't mean they're going to get.
You got to coach them still.
They should be, but to getting into we don't have a stadium. That at one time, our stadium didn't meet NCAA. You had to average 50,000 people a year over 2 periods, and of course we don't.
Correct, and that was something that has definitely been passed to allow us to join Conference USA.
Right, and again, you've got these 5 to be 6 non-Big 4 conferences, and most of those schools went big time. And you've got people like Northwestern, Stanford, and so forth really have a difficult time because they really want to be known academically, and Georgia Tech, I'll throw it in. But you can't win college football games being academically.
No.
Because,
Very rare.
Let's say a school has a big school, and a med in order to play football. Well, you might start playing. Might as well start playing. So I was on the internet the other night, and I saw this old clipping from 1930. University of Minnesota announced that 38 freshman football players 4 varsity football players. 6 baseball players were immediately ineligible because of academics. Now tell me the last time you heard of a college basketball player.
Imposing 40 per hour.
Didn't happen.
To back to your question, I worked for the guy that was the AD before football started. His name was Dave Waver. And he was very, very frugal with his money. I kidded him about that earlier. But the foundation for football was set way back then. You asked me what I could see, what I could imagine. But when Dave retired, I had the privilege of being the interim AD for much.
Yes, sir.
And that is when the study started for football. The study done, led by Dr. Homer Rice, about 10 years prior to that. And it was decided that we wouldn't start football at that time for whatever reason.
Money.
Money. But when Dave's replacement, Vaughn Williams, was hired, he came in with money in the bank. Okay? And I'll say this publicly, I was part of the team that worked with football. And it would be more harder for us to do it if I saved all that money. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Right.
And I mean, I was a coach.
Well, I think there were sophomores in their lives.
Well,
he didn't want to. He had 2 sophomores.
I'd like to go to this island. I hear there's a great picture out there. I'm gonna take the young lady over here.
No.
We don't want that over.
No, we're not going Michigan. No. I was talking about.
But what I want to say is that Vaughn and people we had around him did a great job of maximizing the infrastructure we did have. And again, none of it happened if Dave had not done what he done. It couldn't have happened if Coach Landrum had done what he done. Coach Landrum wouldn't have been there. Eddie Siegel said, hey, let's play athletic. So there's a lot of things, stuff that nobody knows. The person on the Kennesaw State athletic staff that perhaps was most influential in getting a stadium for Kennesaw State was women's soccer staff. Look, there was a Women's Pro League wanting to find a place to play.
Right.
And Rob partnered with a fine man at KSU supporter, Fitz Johnson, and put up the stadium. And so if that thing happened there, Vaughn and his team would have had a difficult time. They did a great job. You can't deny that. And you also got to, just say this, first 3 quarters of Coach Bohan's tenure at the FCS level,
He dominated.
it was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
You hired Bohan, right?
No. I had
Vaughn.
I mean, says too. This guy should replace me as athletic. I probably hurt him by going around saying he should replace me as athletic director. But he was.
I don't know why
anyway,
you wish at me.
I'm not going to get into
I don't
that.
want to. I didn't want to. You make me take.
But,
But Vaughn and his team. I mean, it has to be said.
Absolutely.
That they were bolstered by what he had done, particularly with the finances. So many times when you inherit a job like an athletic director, licenses are missing. That's usually why you got it.
No, you're right.
He retired. So he did a great job. And then I go to Boston College, and Milton Overton comes in, and coinciding with Milton coming in, there's been unbelievable uptick in the financial support, boosters, sponsors,
4,000 more kids every year.
whatever you want to call it, is coming in, and all of that is what's possible.
No, absolutely.
Everybody's done their job.
Connected to the shin bone.
And everybody's done their job, but I'm telling you, I was here, we had no money. And when I left here, we were starting to get a good bit of money. And I'm just telling you that the foundation, you always hear about how the alumni foundation.
Right.
Well, that happens to be true. Everything they're doing now is, what that football staff has done this year is incredible.
Absolutely.
68 new people who had never been to Kennesaw, and they've turned them all into a
And he has
Great
done
team.
a wonderful job coaching that team.
behind Indiana, he's number 2 in the world as far as.
and that's what we always talk about on the show about using the portal. And if you're, I saw something. There's 7 quarterbacks, quarterback for this year. Where's that going? Nobody has an idea. But when you see what he did this year, he's going to get look from people who never would have known who we were 2 years ago. So
And
it's amazing.
What he's done, please understand, it's outstanding. It's great, but it's been part of a progression. Milton did a great job with his search committee. I found the guy to do it. Now I was a huge Brian Mullen fan.
Yep.
I'm a personal friend of Brian.
Yeah.
But his part is relevant to what I'm talking about right now.
Right.
I'm talking about the job that the current staff has done this year.
Absolutely.
And they've done a great job.
And we've talked on the show about Bohannon. I always say, had we not moved up to FCS, had we stayed at the FCS coach for 25 years,
Right.
and we'd have had 2 championships.
From what I can see, and I know Scott knows more about this. Once he said, he said, I'm going to prepare for it. I'm going to hold off the college this year. Get him next year. I'm only playing games this year because we can't do anything. Yeah, he just hit. We were, and I'm certain it was all planned. You know, we were very fortunate to get our new coach, and of course, nobody thought anybody could do what he did.
It's a lot like what Bo went through in 2005, the fall of 2009. We had began a transition from Division I. We had 2 years where we were not eligible to go to the conference tournament or go to the national tournament or anything. And that they beat on the every team we had there. And those coaches and those athletes, we had to take those teams. It took another 5 years. You know, and then here comes Bo and all of his success. Here comes
Coach Mack.
No, I'm talking about Tony Ingle. Basketball goes out as a national champion in 2004. That's the ride.
I'm going to ask Tony. Tony's a very religious guy, and I said, Tony, when you go to, he's always talking about Tony, when you go to heaven, coach basketball. No. I said, why? There's no basketball in heaven. I said, why not? He said, there's no officials up there.
That's awesome.
But you know, so all those things. Bo, wonderful job of maximizing what he had. I mean, his offices were the warehouse.
Yep.
Had the building out of a shop warehouse. They maximized everything, and it's just unfortunate that the Indy went down like it did, but he played a huge part in what happened this year.
Absolutely.
What Bo, think about, we're not talking about right now. We're talking about this year, and this has been one of this story and the Indiana story are two of the best out there.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it, but as much as we are talking about this year and the success the team is having, as you guys keep alluding to, it's been being built since the mid-'70s. It was this guy's contribution, it was this woman's suggestion, and all the way through to Coach Bo having the success. If we come out of the gate looking like the 76 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're not talking about what we're talking about now. The only reason why we're here is because Bo had so much success. Made everybody think about it.
The one thing that they get 2 years to field the team.
Right.
We announced football in the spring. In other words, it was about 9 months from the time of football till we played our first football game.
Wow.
I mean, we actually had a winning season.
Was it like 1982 or something?
It was 1982. Of course, I did the scheduling, so we had a winning season.
Correct, that's what I figured.
The Sisters of the Poor gave us a game.
Hey,
You got anything about playing in the Rose Bowl? No.
I didn't even know there was a Rose Bowl.
we didn't either.
Yeah. We had the bowls on the side.
The good thing is now Jacksonville State is the runner-up of the
17-13.
Sun Belt, and here we're playing Western Champion. If we can win that game, and we can have Missouri State and Delaware in the bowl games, our stocks can go up a little bit.
And absolutely, right, about it all the time. Whenever this university is on display, whether it be on a Tuesday night or a Friday, there's a kid in Spokane who else knows who we are. And you guys never, every time you recruit somebody to come to you, they better be from Atlanta or Douglasville.
One question I got to ask a faculty meeting. We had people on so just athletics go away. It took away from their great teaching. Anyway, they had asked me, would you want to think about Division I? And I said, I'm going to give you the number one reason, other than the other 100. Our name is on the tip of ESPN, Kennesaw State.
It's big.
Yes, one of ever got national. I mean, Tony played the national championship. We're on ESPN Plus and so forth. But on game day, what you saw this? They were talking about the playoffs and so on and so forth. About things like that.
1.6 yes.
And he said, what's his name from Michigan?
Desmond
Kevin
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah, Desmond said, what about Kennesaw State? I don't know if that
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah. Kirk Hurry pushes cash all the time.
I mean, you cannot buy that type.
You cannot.
I mean,
You cannot.
And Scott was in the movie where Johnny Depp. They said,
Pirates of the Caribbean. When the guy says, yeah, you're the worst captain success. They say that you're the worst pirate ever. He goes, yes, but you've heard of it.
Hey, what's really funny about that is when Will went to the NCAA basketball tournament in Raleigh, and we were walking in, probably 100 people around us. Where is Kennesaw State? And I mean, when we got into 100, 200 people that played, you don't want to go over the house. At the beginning of the game, it was every cage. By the end of that game, it was everybody turned out and stadium other than the Xavier fans.
Oh, yeah.
That was the worst publicity, in my opinion.
Yes, that's the athletic night was the biggest front porch you first have.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And I mean, nobody can tell you how time he graduated, and I can tell you what names football.
The baseball in the 90s, baseball title, Coach Bohannon's record of March. It's all just keeps feeding off of each other and stacking up. And what is up here is incredible legacy, and your names will be mentioned for, dare I say, hundreds of years. Well, no, we're going to make sure you guys are mentioned in the same sentence.
We don't want to be mentioned together.
Whatever he's drinking, get me a couple of them.
And that's what we love doing this show. I mean, the stories, you guys from the kid. It's just a thrill.
I'm
part
going
of
to
this.
throw out another Dr. Sig, not me, she said, "Hey, I'd accept you this." Yeah, one problem I would have on Saturday night, and I'd go to the office, and that damn phone rang, please don't let it be Dr. Siegel. Usually was. I was talking to so-and-so last night.
I was something on
They
Saturday.
thought this, that, or the other. Well, Scott, I mean, most of the NCAA were us in softball because we were the best team in the country most of the time. And so I'm standing on a balcony there watching softball in the field harmony, and in this region softball. And Dr. Siegel said, "You're going to make a baseball fan out of me after all." That's Dr. Siegel.
Well, we're all about Friday. You guys going to the game?
I'm going to be able
We don't have to here. 11 o'clock on Fridays, you're going to join us. But we'll wrap up what we got to do before we sign off. And thank you guys so much. We'll come back. We're here after the first of the year. We'll come back. They may get tired of hearing.
That's fine.
That's all right. Thank you.
Next time it is something so there'll be no reason.
Okay, all right. Appreciate that. How about who do you have for the from Costa?
You got a real excited crowd here, I can see.
We blew them away with all of your knowledge of stuff we weren't.
I'll testify to get you all.
There are places to get your oil changed in the area.
Hey, I asked him, and he said he's from Baltimore. He's an engineer working for Baltimore and Ohio.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area. But if you're looking for personal experience, stop in Kennesaw or Los Mountain Lube. We'll do our best to get you in quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operator position where you'll find Brian under Carhood at one of the shops. We offer experienced knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your car warranty and keep your property for the next 5 miles. We offer
Castro products. Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Axis has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, the best workout ever, or just want to take something else off your bucket list, American Axis has their 3.5 lane locations waiting for you in Marietta, Tucker, downtown at the Works, and the uber cool new mobile access. They can be set up wherever you need. Keep an eye out for them at upcoming events and festivals. Look them up online. Just Dan Fisher or call 678-763-3665. That's right, 678-763-3665. Schedule your next visit. It
was an honor, buddy.
Go Owls.
Do all 5 fingers or something. All right, thank you, Melissa Hurgard with Brain Train for being a sponsor. What a thrill it was to have Dr. Dave Waples and Scott Whitlock on the show with us tonight. A lot of history in that bunch.
And I said it at the end of their interview, but 200 years from now, there's a decent chance we are a Power Four team and all these other things. And when somebody looks back, how did all this get started? Those are the names they're going to read about. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we couldn't end the year without bringing our good friend Will Renfro in. As much as he despises me, I still love Will.
That's
so,
okay.
Yeah. So
you got a super fan? Man, that's a cool looking cup you got there, sir.
Isn't that a nice cup?
That is a very nice cup. Man, you must have somebody. He's pretty talented.
all right, let's get these picks out of the way. First, we'll pick Jacksonville State versus. I'm going to go with Jackson State 4.
17-13. I'm calling it now.
Man, I don't know. I'm still not sure who's going to win. Oh, wait, I actually called for winner.
3-0 here.
What?
Yeah.
What?
All right, Louisiana versus Delaware.
This game's tonight,
Even
and
though I can't spell Delaware.
to Delaware. Delaware.
Well, that's what
Lord have mercy.
Give me Louisiana.
I'll tell you, Chuck Stick.
Oh, my goodness. This is the Cajuns, right? Yes, Louisiana. I'm going to go Louisiana. Even though Delaware's a Conference State team.
I personally love the Raging Cajuns. When on Vegas ever, I won most of my money on a Raging Cajuns. Really did well. And I'm taking Delaware. This is another one of these games. Just like old days. It's not the teams we watch in regular seasons. The quarterbacks playing. These linemen aren't. So it's really hard to keep up with this
You
stuff.
see who the kicker for Florida is? His last name is Grammatica.
Yeah, I've said that before.
A player named Miracle. Did you see
Oh,
that?
there we go.
His first name is Miracle.
It's a miracle.
All right,
Show
Missouri
you the world
State.
part one.
Missouri State plus 1.5. Arkansas State. I'm taking Arkansas State. Missouri State last week up in there, so I'll take Arkansas.
What are you,
I
Shamu?
mean, Arkansas set up a good fight here.
Missouri State.
Yeah, I'm going to go for State.
I heard Mike's just for the rest.
Western Kentucky versus Ole Miss. 4.5. So let's take the Bobs.
Ooh. I'll go with Kentucky on that.
Well, that's your note at home, too. That's farm against Western Kentucky.
Put it on the Eagles. Yeah. All right, FIU versus UTSA. FIU won double.
Yes.
I'll take
But we're at Miami.
Pink neon. I love so much.
They got a pass offense. Yeah, yes, they're leaving the East game off. Some with you.
San Antonio. The Roadrunners.
The Roadrunners.
Chickens versus the Dogs. Can chicken pick the out of the dog?
I just want to. Anybody here? Well, let me hear the two. Can either of you spell this into? If you can, I'm going to take them. If not,
C-H-A-U-N-T.
You already-
C-H-A-U-N-T-I-C-L-E-E.
and that was your third. It's all good.
Shocking.
That's bad.
They're coming South Carolina. Does that count for anything?
It's kind of cool, isn't it? You're gonna. This is the stadium.
We're playing on the grass or turf.
Feels all about it.
So there's alternate colors. And,
Yeah, I actually have that with someone. Like,
Yeah.
all the weird colors.
yeah, there's one of them. So, yeah, we get ready in second 124, but that has no this game. I think we're going to go with who's favored in that one? Louisiana Tech? Yeah, let's go with Louisiana Tech.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
going to take the Chanticleer.
Wait a minute. What bowl? Where's the bowl? I don't remember where that was played.
I like that one.
Toilet?
I don't
Some class.
know. Where's the bowl? That's in Birmingham.
Probably so.
I feel like the fact he beat the conference championship game. Demonstrate what he go Beal. No, Montgomery.
That's the Independence Bowl. So that's sport.
That's the Super Bowl. Okay.
So that would have been T.
Yes. That's our home folk there.
Lawrence James?
Absolutely. Oh, crazy dogs up in here.
Legendary State. I'm sorry, Arkansas State plus half against Washington. I think it's up to 4.5 now, isn't it?
It might be. I think it's one towards Western Michigan. I don't know.
All day long.
So if you look up any stat in this, Western Michigan actually the defense is top 10 for allowing points. So they're winning games with their offense. And if Barrett Hobson goes there, so I'm going to consult.
Rah, Kansas.
Yeah, guess what? I'm no, I look just in the 17, 30, 35, 19, 31, 21, 30. You know, there's nothing that crazy. This isn't a team with a lot of points on. And I ain't scared. It's S-K-E-E-R-D. Scared.
Whatever.
I ain't scared.
We have
Will and like if you want to buy for something before we're at number 5 in the morning, so go early, but the food's like coming out at 7 or 8.
So go to the menu.
Because we always do breakfast. We came first at 11, so we're just going to eat the thing for the rest of the morning. I'm going to do some breakfast quesadillas. Tom's going to have casseroles that he's putting together some sausage bacon. What you gonna have?
Well, speaking of a good time, for those of us that many friends that don't know about the Conway, three of us down here are having watch parties. One with you have that other one across the there's a watch.
One location.
Right here, Middle Hospital.
10:30 in 3 hours.
Hours total we can get in here before game at 11. All right. So last time I'm go 20.
Hey, congratulations to you. I'm the College of Computing Software Engineering.
She's one of them.
Yeah, yeah, on her head. I think
Congratulations to you. Probably the second one.
So guys, thank you for everything you've done this year.
Thank you, Will.
Until then, say Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and safe
Happy
New Year.
Hanukkah.
Until then, we'll see you here. Until then, one more bit.
About 4 seconds. And the show would know what you were.
Did you sing the Old Million? Their Old Million was pink. It's the cure. No. I would love to ask for what would you consider? Just been invited to the like 4 to every help. Get stickers and get them on. And
Did I slide on the Navy?
I saw it though. I don't know if you said it.
4 hours of paint.
Hold the sticker.
What? No, it's not. I'll send you.
Oh.
It's paint individually.
So we had Cole Loden and Armstrong and their dads went to that game.
Unplug me, Larry.